Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
Hello there, my name is Ben and I'm here to talk about a book I've recently read by Mr. Jonathan Kozol, Letters to a Young Teacher. Now, Mr. Kozol has been teaching for over 40 years and is a prolific writer in educational systems and developments. Here's a fantastic picture of him in his early teaching days with some youth from the greater Boston area. Now, if Mr. Kozol's attitude towards teaching was to be summed up in one phrase, it probably would be, pick battles big enough to matter, small enough to win. In Mr. Kozol's book, Letters to a Young Teacher, he introduces the reader to the world of a first-year teacher. And he does so by compiling letters between himself and Francesca, a first-year teacher in the Boston area as well. Over the year, the correspondence develops, and lots of questions get answered by Mr. Kozol towards Francesca. Some of the key themes of this book are how to deal with a new teacher fear, how to learn from elder teachers, how to deal with bad attitude students, as well as many criticisms of the concepts of diversity, how we deal with racial integration, voucher programs, and also discussion of looping programs, teachers, as well as gender achievement gap, and social norms. Lastly, he also heavily advocates the Mr. Rogers example, which we'll talk about a little bit later. In terms of specific teaching strategies, Mr. Kozol advocates using and developing your teacher looks to make sure a student gets in line without having to verbally reprimand him, reaching out to parents and staying engaged with them, staying positive and rejecting preconceptions both of the students and the schools that you'll go into, as well as collecting students' work over time to help them develop a portfolio, commonly giving free time, which includes free write time, with no prompts, just allowing students to work on their own and the ideas they want to pursue. Also using individual knowledge of students to motivate them and make education as constructive and hands-on as possible. Also rejecting any rigid views, say 6 common traits that lead to X success, saying that there is an individualized, unique path for every student. Also try to make lesson plans relevant to the students' lives as well as contemporary issues. Do not use jargon with students, teachers, or even administrators. And lastly, following the Mr. Rogers example, going beyond free time, is also emphasizing the importance of make-believe, as well as treating students as equals and reinforcing the idea of there not only being open time, but also open spaces in which students can do what they want and even own their classrooms. I did have some criticisms in reading the work. It's mostly a work of personal reflection with Francesca as opposed to an educational treatise. Also, it focuses heavily on criticizing some of the teaching experiences and practices of the past without as much addressing some of the newer developments in teaching instructional strategies. Also, the primary focus of the work is elementary school, not middle or high school. Also, he seems overly critical of the professional behavioral norms that seem to have developed in recent years and may have some real benefits. Also, most of his conclusions and claims are based on anecdotal evidence, and there is a significant lack of any sort of empirical evidence to support these conclusions. Lastly, there does seem to be a limited amount of advice for daily routines and activities, and rather most of the book is a discussion on theoretical or metaphysical issues regarding teaching and the nature of learning. That being said, it was fantastic to get an opportunity to read Mr. Kozol's work, and I would highly recommend it to any new teachers. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
A book, a reading rainbow.